Kol omer krav almar ma'akra, kol habasar chatzir, v'chol chasto katzitz hasadeh. Yavesh chatzir novel tzitz ki ruach Adonai nashvabo. A voice says, cry out. But I ask, what shall I cry? All flesh is like grass, and all of its beauty is like the flower of the field. The grass withers, and the flower fades when a wind from God blows upon it. Surely, therefore, people are like grass. The grass withers, and the flower fades, but the word of God endures forever. Mizmor LeDavid, Adonai roi lo echsar binoteshe yarbitzeni, al mei menuchot yinahaleni. Nafshi yeshovev yancheni v'magle tzedek laman shemo. Gam ki elech begates halmavet, lo ira ra, ki ata imadi. Shiftecha umishantecha, hema yinachamuni. Taroch lefanai shulchan neged sorai, dishanta v'Hashem en roshi kosi revaya, ach tov v'chesed yirdafuni, kol yemei chayai, v'shavti b'veit Adonai li'orech yamim. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He has me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He guides me on paths of righteousness. He revives my soul for the sake of his glory. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no harm, for you are with me. Your staff and your rod, they comfort me. You set a table in sight of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall abide in the house of the Lord forever. I know when the grandkids would visit with your mother, and maybe they would move a few things out of place, they'd create a little disorder in the house, but your mom would say to you, don't worry about that. That's just stuff, which means that stuff's not important. And what she was really telling you is that we all have to, in life, be able to distinguish between what is important and what's not important. The stuff, the trivial, and the more central things in our life and people in our lives. She was telling you that being with her grandchildren, developing relationships with her grandchildren, that was important. A few things out of place, really not that important. People walk through their lives never realizing what's important until it's too late. They confuse what's real and what's central with what is trivial. Your mother never did that. Your mother learned sometimes through challenges. Your mother learned what was truly important. And your mom had to decide, as we all have to decide, what is it that we'll devote our energies to? What will we devote ourselves to? And that's what she was trying to teach you your entire life. Her relationships with you, that was important. Her desire to live and have a good family life with you, that was what was important. That was central. When her first marriage ended, her desire to be able to provide for you, that was her priority. That was important. She went back to school. She earned her law degree as she continued to raise you. It took enormous focus and enormous effort to do all those things at the same time. But she wanted to be able to give you the opportunities that she felt you deserved. After law school, she worked as the administrator of the Guardian ad litem program. She did work in the domestic relations area. She did criminal defense work. She believed that you need to do what needs to be done, and that's what she always lived by. And you two were the important things in her life. She was your number one fan. She was your cheerleader. She was very much in your corner. Not that she wouldn't correct you or assert her advice to you. She would. Your mom wanted a real relationship with the people in her life, and real relationships include real dialogue with a real give and take. She had a real relationship with her sister, Rita, who we want to offer our condolences to. I know you two led different lives, but you've always been in touch, always felt close, and Steve and Eric have always known how important you were to your sister. Marcia was close to her parents. Her father had passed on when Marcia was only in her 20s, and she remained close to her mother forever after. The people she cared about, they weren't just the stuff. They were the central, the most important things in her life. Several times in her life, your mother had to face the moment when unexpected things happened, when the ideal that was in her brain was being disrupted. It wasn't the vision she had. But she showed resilience, and she showed the ability to pick herself up. She had started out as a teacher, a junior high school teacher in the city of Cleveland. She ultimately also earned a master's degree. She was extremely bright, very smart, very well read, and ready to voice her opinion, a progressive voice on the issues of the day. It was not easy for her at times as she was transitioning in careers. But again, she was teaching the two of you something about priorities, that life isn't always easy, but you must be able to do what needs to be done. You know, the one thing that a child needs as they're growing up is a sense of security, a sense of stability, that they're loved, so that they can develop who they are as individuals. I think your mom provided you with that. You both felt loved. You both felt very supported. You called her the dominant supportive figure in your life. She taught you the importance of standing up for causes. She demanded that you treat women with respect. She had a progressive spirit and very clear views on current events. She was animated and she was motivated by causes. And she cared about fairness and she cared about justice. Perhaps it was because she had some challenges in life, but your mom was not always an optimist. She was sometimes afraid the worst would happen. But in real life, she always bounced back, and she even found meaningful companionship toward the latter part of her life. In her later years, you saw that she tried to bring people together, tried to bring family members together, friends together with brunches and meals, because it mattered to her. She had had a medical episode a few years ago, and perhaps that event stimulated her to really cherish her time during her latter years. She entertained a lot. She loved sports. She even walked a mile every day till this very recently in her life. And she was very proud to be Jewish. It was important that she raised you with a sense of Jewishness, and it continued to be important as she grew older. I told you I would see her at the high holidays every year. We start at 8:20 in the morning. It's early. She'd be there a half hour before the earliest. I mean, she may have earned some side income as a maintenance guy getting there early in the morning. I mean, she was there. She was waiting. I felt like I was late. I was walking in, and she's sitting there. She was ready. You said early to bed, early to rise. She loved being places early. She raised you to be two free-thinking adults, even to the point where you would sometimes critique your mom during some of her dramatic moments. And you'd speak up because she raised you to be that way. She raised you to have a real dialogue and a real back and forth. But she was always proud of you. In the end, amidst the challenges that were overcome, she was very, very proud of both of you. She lived to see you as adults and with families of your own, and she loved your children. She loved being a grandmother. And she asked very little in return except that you try to teach your own children the way that she taught you, because you mattered to her. I know it always confused you, it even frustrated you that your mom could be so strong one minute, so able to fend for herself, and then the next minute, if you were there, she'd act helpless, like she wanted you to help her. I think it's because she loved being cared for by you. She loved that moment of interaction. She knew that she had cared for you, and she loved the fact that you were willing to care for her. It's one of the things that she looked forward to. You said she was an early riser. I wonder what she did with all that extra time. She read a lot. One thing's for sure, she always had the television on, right? Because she never turned off the television. But those are the idiosyncrasies that make people real. When you know those types of special things about your mom, it makes her even more real to you. It's one thing to have a certain dream in our heads as to how life is going to be. It's another to actually match that dream with the reality. Marcia worked on matching that dream with the reality. And she made it work for her, and she made it work for you. She lived with a good name, and she died with a good name. I want to call up the family now to spend a few moments here. Rita and Eric and Steve.
Oh my goodness. I lost my memory with her. She knew whether I had chickenpox ever in my life, or if she was someone I could call to ask who was who and how were we interrelated. That's gone now, and I don't know where to go to get that. I lost my emotional advisor. I would always give her advice on actions to take, and she would always be there to give me that emotional intellect that she had of understanding those feelings. Other than that, she will be sorely missed. She raised two fabulous guys with a family that she adored, grandchildren that became the center of her, and importantly for these two guys was that, one, she nurtured them to be who they are and to follow their individual passions and to be honorable and authentic. And then the rabbi said everything else. No, really, he said everything else. There's just one group of people other than cousins and family that I want to remind that she had 9 lives, and she just ran out of one. And to her friends, her close friends, I mean, I used to think when she and I would be having an argument, sisters, we always did, that she must have some redeeming value in life because she's got these friends who have been with her forever. Loyal, loving, supportive friends. And to them, I thank you. I thank you, thank you. I did it.
For those of you who really know, my mom was a very emotional person. I penned a lyric once. Mama always told me you got to believe and wear your heart on your sleeve. And she did. She really did wear her heart on her sleeve. She wore her heart on her sleeve, on her pants, on her shirt, everywhere. But it was this emotion that allowed her to really feel life so strongly, highs and lows. And I think that is a gift because that led to a depth of compassion for others that she had. She was extremely charitable until the end. Even in these last 2 months, she was involved in a program where she mentored orphaned young people in their first year at college at Cleveland State to help them adjust to a new life out of the orphanage. And she did these things while in significant physical pain, walking with a walker, having breathing issues, which is just incredible to me. She kept going as long as she could as an educator. She, until this last year, was teaching senior classes about the Supreme Court down at Case Western Reserve, and again in a walker. And what she would do is she would go down to wherever she needed to go, and she would find somebody that would help her. And she would pick somebody out and say, this person is going to help me get in the building and get to where I need to go. Not going to talk too much about her history, but I will say she would always tell me the story about Elsie and Sam, my grandparents, first starting the lumber yard in Lorain, Ohio. And they had for a while to sleep at the lumber yard. I'm not sure if it was when they were building their house or they didn't have a house yet. And I'm not sure how long this took place because Mom was known sometimes to embellish some stories. So, but that's a great an American story, and what she taught us is that you do whatever it takes to overcome and succeed. So, again, she was a person that would let you know how she felt. I remember one time, 8th grade, I was at recess and Laura Pike pierced my ear at recess. So I came home uh, and I think I went to my room, tried to hide it for a little while, but then I came down and she saw it and not in this house, not in this house. And I can still hear her saying that. And needless to say, you don't see any earrings now. So. Mom was her relationships with her family and friends. She had lifelong close friends, as Rita talked about, people, Sally, Arlene, Michael Tyner, and that's who she was. She was an extremely kind and welcoming woman. I remember my friend Bruce coming over to the house and shake her, and when she met for the first time, he commented on wow, your mom is so nice, and she was just welcoming like that. She loved our extended family, cousins Mel, Stevie, Pam, and Sam, and others of all the generations. She loved you all so much. I appreciate how you were there for us this last month especially. Love you guys. And all those Passovers, the 20 of us packed over at Aunt Helen's, was so special. And it moved her over these last years to entertain more. Again, in physical discomfort, it didn't matter to her. She would, any occasion she could think of, whether it was just for the girls or it was a holiday. And it was great to see her like this. She had suffered a pulmonary embolism in 2013. And so these last 4 years, she really had a renewed vigor and lease on life, and I take a lot of comfort in that. Her grandkids were everything to her. She would always talk about making memories. Let's go to a play together or meet at the museum, or I want to get you guys tickets to something, the Ice Capades or a circus or a basketball game. And when she spoke of this, making memories, she was speaking of your guys' memories, not hers. She wanted you guys to have great memories. Chloe and Allie and David, she loved you guys so much. I love you guys too. Uncle Fred, you became her true brother. She loved you and confided in you, just like you do with all of us. Had a very special relationship with her. I love you, Uncle Fred. Her daughters, her new daughters, Jenny and Carol, you became her true daughters. You cared about her and you, and she told me on many occasions how lucky she was to have both of you in her life. Her sister, Aunt Rita, you were there for her in so many ways. She loved going to New York to visit, to the house in Jersey. She was so lucky, as we all are, to have you. You took care of her and provided her good advice. Whether she took it or not, different story, but you were there in every way imaginable, everything. I love you, Aunt Rita, and she loved you so much. Steve, the pride she had for you, number one son, was boundless. She was so proud of the man you are on so many levels. And she was excited to see your success, as we all are, and your accomplishments. She would always say how she must have done something right in reference to you, but not only to your professional success, but who you are as a person and how you care about certain issues. And no doubt the caring in both of us came from her soul and spirit. There's never a doubt that you are there for all of us. And I found that lately, whatever crisis happens, you and I lock it in together and unify and handle it. And we may differ, but we always listen to each other and come together on whatever we need to do. And no doubt, this is her legacy. And I'm so lucky and happy you are my brother. I love you, Steve. I was so blessed. My mother provided so much love. She told me she loved me. I think every time we said goodbye, I was searching my mind. I could not literally think of a time she didn't tell me she loved me when we said goodbye. And that may be true or not true, or I think a lot of mothers do that as well. It's just special. So I'm going to pay that forward right now. Mom, I love you. There's a ribbon in the sky, Mom. A ribbon in the sky. Love you.
So she got here a day early, got the best parking spot, and got a seat right in the front. Eric said this, my mother really raised my brother and me. My dad, always my best friend, but Mom did the hard work, really the heroic work of raising us day in and day out. And it was hard. I mean, we were not angels, and we're still not. And it was heroic because she didn't always have the easiest of times. She had to overcome things in order to make that happen. But everything that we are today, we are because of her. For me, Mom was all about loyalty and family and love. Like, as the rabbi said, those were the three things that really mattered to her. Loyalty, she gave and demanded 100% loyalty no matter what. So that meant when times were down, she was in your corner. And it also meant that she could be tough. Tough on me, tough on her friends, tough on her family. If she felt that you weren't giving her the same level of loyalty and support that she gave and demanded from everybody. For family, and everybody said it, family was always number one for Mom. She was, as the rabbi said, our number one cheerleader when things went well, and when things weren't going well, she was our number one defender. She was there for us, fiercely protective, like literally a lioness when things weren't going well. But, for her, family was not a Hallmark card. Family was a contact sport for my mother. That meant that it was full of passion, it was full of laughter, it was full of tears, sometimes raised voices, and always spirit and love. It was also full of advice, solicited or not. Some of the advice was excellent advice. She told me, not solicited, who not to marry and who to marry. And that was excellent advice because I listened to her. She would also give me advice on career. She told me very, very strong terms that I should not, for my career, come back home to Cleveland. That things just wouldn't work out here. And I think I eventually have gotten her to retract on that a little bit. But she would tell you exactly what she thought. And that was family. That was a sign that you were special to her and close to her when she would do that. And for her, the third was most important, was love. And it was the most constant. It was just always there. I hear about stories of people and families who don't have that, and it's hard for me to even imagine it because it was just so constant and so unquestioned and so unconditional for me my whole life. So those were the things, loyalty, family, and love that she believed in, and those are the things she fought for. And that was her reality. And when the reality around her wasn't accommodating to those values, she used her spirit and her will to try to bend the reality around her to mold to those values and those will. That means that, she was a career woman at a time when it was hard for women to have a career. And she was told she had to choose, and she was not going to choose. She did it all. She was the person who worked and then came home and in 45 minutes had dinner out and it was made, and was always there at every game, and then also was always there for her children who she taught at school, who she cared so much about. It meant that, as a lawyer later in her life, when she was told that wasn't supposed to be her career, she went out and she did it. With 2 teenage kids at home, working a day job, going to law school at night as a single mom. And I will tell you, when I went to law school, I had it easy. I mean, all I had to do was go to school, and she made that possible for me. But I felt pretty guilty when I was going through that about all the times I had misbehaved and made it harder for her during that time. And I was really, really came to understand how incredible it was and how incredible she was. And then later in life, as her legs failed her, it was harder for her to get around. And she was told sort of she should only do certain things or go certain places. She didn't accept that either. She fought to continue to bring together the family, to have her home be the place where people got together, to walk, to make sure she could go around. For me, my special thing was her. She was my breakfast buddy. We used to have breakfast together pretty frequently at either Corky and Lenny's or Bob Evans when we didn't want to see any of you guys. And those were great times for us. Those were times where we could talk about everything from current events, which she was increasingly disturbed by, to family, to more and more advice for me on how I was messing up and how I was doing well. So, to me, I guess just to end, I think that those values, love and family and loyalty, were her values. And I think the rabbi's right. We pay lip service to those values a lot more than we live them. And she was a lesson about living them. I think too often money and position and power, end up mattering way too much in our daily lives. And those were the things that she did not focus on. And that was a great example. So I love you, Mom. And I know you don't always listen to me. You just didn't have to get there early this time. Okay. I love you.
Let's rise for the memorial prayer. Mole rachamim shochen bamromim hametzei menucha nechona tachat kanfei hashchina b'malot kedoshim utehorim anabal harachamim hastireha b'seiter knafecha leolamim utzror b'tzracha mit nishmata Adonai hu nachalata v'tanuach b'shalom amishkava v'nomar amen. May we remember all of the worthy and the righteous deeds that she performed while in the land of the living. May her soul be bound up in the bonds of eternal life. God is now her portion. May she rest in peace. And we all say amen. Let's be seated. We want to offer our condolences to the family, to Stephen and Eric, to Rita, to Carol and Jenny and Fred, to the grandchildren, Allie, Chloe, and David. The family will be receiving friends for the Shiva visitation today and tomorrow. Today, following the burial portion of the service, we will gather at Point East and continue until 8 p.m. tonight. And then tomorrow, Wednesday, will be 3:30 to 5:30 in the afternoon, and then again 6:30 to 8:30 in the evening, tomorrow evening, both times at Point East. Today, again, we will start following the burial portion, which will take place in Lorraine, and then moving back to Point East, staying there till 8 o'clock tonight, and then tomorrow 3:30 to 5:30, 6:30 to 8:30. Please remain in your seats for another moment as we arrange the processional. The pallbearers can now come forward.